Hello and welcome to this mid-morning taste challenge. I have American blended whiskeys. Neither one is common, and one of them, and they both might be out of production. And here's the first one, Gran Legacy American Blend. Oh, they're both 40% alcohol too, by the way, 80 proof. So here's Gran Legacy American Blend. If I can get it to focus, I'll be a happy person. Blended whiskey with natural flavors, plural, more than one natural flavor. So it's got some kind of flavoring to it, natural flavors. I don't know what those could be. But there are a lot of options. Now they're showing a copper pot still. Well, yeah. Oh, there it goes. This is a very inexpensive, if you want to call it cheap, I wouldn't take issue with that, plastic bottle. Bought it from a local pharmacy chain, believe it or not, who used to carry a brand of their own brand of liquor called Gran Legacy. Nothing really grand about it or gran about it. And it's definitely not a legacy. This is not a product that's a legacy product. It's not where people say, oh, I remember my grandpa used to drink this. No, nobody remembers that. It's only been on the market 18 years, 2006. And I think it's discontinued because they never carry it in the pharmacy anymore, no matter what location I go to. Secondly, I've seen it at other locations that are certainly unaffiliated with that pharmacy. I've seen it at Star, and I've seen it at Savannah Discount, I believe, maybe Discount Depot. So, yeah, if you look for this, you're probably not going to find it, but then why would you bother looking for it? Okay, so it's got a nice texture. It's like a matte, M-A-T-T-E, and then there's some plastic ribbing, like it's raised plastic for the trim. So it's kind of nice considering how inexpensive it is. Could it have coloring added? It could. It's very dark. But it doesn't say that. It says blended whiskey with natural flavors. Doesn't say anything about coloring. And look, it says the Legacy Distilling Company. There is no Legacy Distilling Company. It's simply an alias name, or as the U.S. government calls it, an assumed name of the Sazerac Company, Buffalo Trace. You say Buffalo Trace makes expensive whiskey that people track down and look for. That's right. They also make stuff like this that is a private label or was a private label for a pharmacy company. I think they discontinued it, and all the leftover bottles, CVS probably said, let them have it, you know. Whoever wants to bid on it, they could sell it at cut rate prices. I've seen it. I was in Star in Kenner, Louisiana. They had a big handle like this of their Canadian whiskey, Gran Legacy Canadian whiskey, and the guy was like, it was no price tag. So I said, could you do a price check? And he rang it up. Ding, ding. He said, $10.99. I said, oh, well, never mind. He said, what you want for it, boss? I said, I don't even really want it. I was just curious about the price. He said, how about $8.99? I said, you got it. So I bought it and I gave it to my friend David, and he hated it. And so he gave it to me, most of the bottles. So I still have most of that Gran Legacy Canadian. Okay, so I think that's what happened. I think it was under the control of that pharmacy chain. They didn't want it. And they told Sazerac, Buffalo Trace, look, we're cutting that. We don't want it, except for the Jethro T boots, which I still see Jethro T boots. So I think that was the bourbon that was moving. So, and it was never connected to Gran Legacy, except it's made by the same people, Buffalo Trace. So if you see this and you're curious and you get it for a really low price, I'd say buy it, because I think it's gone. I mean, I think it's not around. It's gone. They used to have it fully stocked on the shelves. You know, they had Scotch, Canadian, American, rum, gold or silver, brandy, I think even. I didn't buy that. Definitely had vodka, gin, and you know, all the stuff you would expect. So, but then it just slowly went away, and I never saw it again. Okay, but like I say, Jethro T boots, but that's not related, although it's from Buffalo Trace. And there's still that Connolly's or O'Connery's Irish cream liqueur with Irish whiskey and spirits. Yes, I know that's from Sazerac too. They handle it, they don't make it. But like I said, that's not connected. That seems to just sell pretty well also. Okay, but anyway, now the competitor, Jamie Torres says, I'm still recovering from a hurricane hangover. If there was an Aldi where I live, Walmart would go out of business for sure. Really, Walmart's strong here. I mean, it's really strong. Burley Sullivan says, you. Here's another oddball, Texas 254, blended whiskey. Blended at a 80-20 blend ratio, 80% grain neutral spirits, unaged, 20% straight whiskey. I would assume bourbon, but it could be straight corn whiskey, as light as it is. I mean, when I pour it, it's light. So yeah, it could be straight corn whiskey. All right. That requirement doesn't matter. You can use any straight whiskey in a blend ratio of a blended whiskey, as long as it's at least 20%. So if you're using at least 20% straight whiskey, you got it. Although bourbon is typically used because bourbon is the most common type of straight whiskey. You know what I'm saying? It's just a matter of feasibility with price and everything. Of course, this one is a little pricier than your typical American blended whiskey. This is around the same price as Seagram 7. Seagram 7 running around $20 a bottle for the big, beautiful plastic. This is glass. All right. Backwoods Craft Distillery. Their website will not work now for the last week and a half. There's no phone number listed. I think they're out of business, honestly. I think they just abruptly shut down after 5 years. Wouldn't be shocked, because a lot of these little startup companies, they'll make a splash. They're in the newspapers, and but then they don't make any money and they go away. And that's why when people approach them to buy them out, they sell out. I mean, they sell quick because there's too much risk involved. You know, people are fickle, and they'll be hot for your place one day, and the next day they done forgot about you. So they take the buyouts, man. Nearly perfect, basically perfect. I'm going to put a little, like a milliliter more, half a milliliter more in the other one. A few more little items of interest, perhaps. There's no blend ratio there. You see, so yeah, well, so that means something. In America, not in Canada, talking about the U.S. of America, not in Ireland, not in Scotland, in the U.S. of America, you are allowed to make blended whiskey with up to 80% unaged whiskey, grain spirits, clear, odorless, colorless, never been in the wood. You don't have to, you're allowed to. And the ratio is up to you. You can make it 65-35, 70-30, 75-25, or 80-20, which is the most common because it's the cheapest. Jamie says, I noticed that, or Jaime says, I noticed that you don't wear Major League Baseball shirts anymore. Why not? I just wore a Dodgers Stadium shirt and a Dodgers cap for a video. Just recorded it. And then I got the Dodgers, the old alternative cap, which they didn't wear for too long. About 20 years ago, and they stopped wearing it. I had it. Oh yeah, I just started. I got well, it wasn't baseball season actually, but I've already worn Seattle alternative in Maine. I got video coming up with San Francisco Giants regular uniform, alternative cap, 2 different T-shirts, gray T-shirt and the black. Now I got the Dodgers coming up next. Following that, I'll be doing the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. Got the T-shirt. I got 2 different caps. Then we'll be heading down Interstate 5 to San Diego. And I have many, many, many different combos on that one. Different shirts, caps, all kind of combos. So yeah, oh yeah. We're coming in strong now with Major League Baseball caps and shirts. Oh, blend ratio. So fine. Now, if you go above 80%, then it's a different class of whiskey. It's called a different type of whiskey. I'm sorry, not class. The class is whiskey. The type would be called spirit whiskey, which is allowed. Some of these spirit whiskeys will be $80 a handle. Some craft spirit whiskey, Rebecca Creek and all of that. $45 for a regular bottle. I'm not paying that for spirit whiskey. Southern Comfort use spirit whiskey. Okay, well, that's fine. That's a different type. But to be a blended whiskey, you got to be below 80% grain neutral spirit. Fine, but you must disclose it. I didn't realize this, and I was reading the regulations earlier this year, and it said that if you use grain spirits, you must put the ratio on the label. It's not an option. It must be listed on the label. And if you add coloring or flavoring, that's up to you. If you want to list it or don't list it. That's not required. You're allowed to use coloring and flavoring, and you can put it on it, or you can leave it off. Sazerac, for some reason, they seem to feel uncomfortable about not disclosing it. So if you get any of these Sazerac brands, first thing you're going to see, with natural flavors and caramel color, with natural flavors by itself. You see what I mean? Like they want to detail if they're putting flavoring or coloring. Why, I don't know, but they do. After they bought Early Times, they started putting whiskey with natural flavors. And I said, what changed? What changed? I don't think anything changed. I just think they decided to start putting that because Early Times was always a blended whiskey, and you've always been allowed to add coloring and flavoring to it, actually. It's just that I think Brown-Forman didn't want to put that on there, but they sold it to Sazerac. It was up to them after that, 2015, 16. Okay. Smell like sweet corn. So I think this is, well, I know it is. This is all aged whiskey. Aged at least 4 years, too. How do I know that? There's no age statement. You don't have to put an age statement. That's not required. But if you don't put an age statement, you had better make sure that each whiskey in that blend is at least 4 years old, or you're going to run into trouble with Uncle Sam, Uncle Slugger. And so there you go. So you say, wow, it's aged at least 4 years. It's a blend of different whiskeys. And it was that cheap, $10.99. Oh, yeah, I didn't say it was a blend of good whiskeys. It's probably reject whiskeys that were bought on an auction market. You know what I mean? Like Jim Beam that came out terrible. Jack Daniels that they would never dream of bottling. Jim Beam that they were horrified by when they tasted it, and so forth. Hey, well, $10.99 a handle. No, you don't care. You say that's why they add the flavoring to mask the badness. Well, hey, cheers to you for guessing right. That's probably the reason. There's even a natural flavoring called oak extract, if you can believe it. Oak extract. You say that's like juice from an oak tree that they add to make it taste more woody. All right. So it's a game. It's a game. It's a game. But I mean, if you're paying $10.99 for a handle, have you really lost anything? You haven't. Maybe your life if you drink too much. This one is twice the price, $19.99 versus $10.99. Now that was when I bought it. You understand? It's not gonna be. You're not gonna find it for $10.99 right now. Well, what am I saying? I just bought the Canadian one for $8.99, but I think they were trying to unload it because, like I said, I think the whole line is defunct. There's no more Gran Legacy. Trying rid of it. They probably bought it on auction for $5.99. Because I didn't ask him to lower the price. He was hot to lower it. It went from $10.99 to $8.99 before I could say, but all right, taste, cheers. It's so common, like the flavor is so common. It's like a broken record. The same flavors again and 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 again. I'm gonna make a video where I just do that for an hour and a half. I mean, I could tell you vanilla. I could talk about oak and honeysuckle nectar. You know, like nectar from a flower plant, the kind you can get the nectar from. But I'm not going to mention that because it's the same old thing. All right, so that's typical thing over here. That's somebody blind and they didn't know what it was. First thing they would say is bourbon. I mean, that's what they're going to say. It tastes like bourbon. Or they're going to say, what bourbon is that? They'll probably say it tastes pretty good. They don't realize what they're drinking. And then when you open the bottle, they'll say, oh, I knew something was wrong with it. You say, why you didn't mention it? Not the same flavor. This tastes like sweet corn. Well, I don't know if it's Green Giant or Libby's or Del Monte, but honestly, wouldn't be any of those because they're with salt. Those canned corn. This would be no salt. Just straight corn off the cob. You boiled it in water and you added no seasoning whatsoever. Yes. What about oak? Uncharred. What about honeysuckle nectar? Oh, maybe a little bit. What about vanilla? Not really. Not really. Not really. By golly, this tastes like corn whiskey. And if I guessed it was 95% corn, I bet you I'll be correct. Craft whiskey from a Texas company that appears to have abruptly gone out of business. Oh well, can't worry about it. Happens every day. Back over here. All right. Funny thing. All right, so pure whiskey, no unaged filler. And 80% filler, corn, unaged corn, liquor. Now, you say, well, in Canada, they can't do that. That's right. They got to age it for at least 3 years. Talking about the corn spirits. Now, with these Irish creams, those are mostly just unaged grain spirits. Unaged, because, I mean, what you tasting in those? Cream and sugar, and if they add chocolate, or this one is with nutmeg, or this one's with cinnamon. So, I mean, they put a little bit of straight whiskey in there from Ireland. I don't think they use the term straight in Ireland or Scotland, but you know what I'm saying, regular whiskey. They add caramel coloring to make it look like chocolate milk. And the whiskey flavor is just a sideline flavor. You mostly want the cream and everything. Okay. So you'd just be kind of wasting good whiskey on those. Apparently, because that's what Bailey's is, mostly like 80% unaged grain spirits. But people love Bailey's. They be buying Bailey's all day for almost $40 a bottle now. I'm talking about the big bottle, the handle, $40. Oh, and it is Bailey's better than the others? I've had some of the Bailey's variants. They were very delicious. I cannot lie. But then on the other hand, they were no more delicious than Ryan's Irish style Irish cream liqueur that I can get from Rouse's for $10.99. Sometimes on sale for $9.99. Well, those days are probably gone. Thank you, JB. So it tastes like bourbon, more or less. But it's not a real flavor because it's using natural flavors to probably make it taste like bourbon. They're probably using vanilla because, many people will drink bourbon and say, it's got a vanilla aspect. Oh, it has an oaky aspect. Okay, so fine. Take this stuff here, add oak extract, vanilla extract, blend it all together with a big, huge spoon. No, I don't know what they blend it with. I don't think it's a big, huge spoon. So I did that for comedic effect. But, and then they bottle it. And then it doesn't really sell. So they discontinue it in 2021 because it was not profitable. That's my theory, at least. Okay. So I like it, but it's not a bad flavor. I mean, for $10.99, what the heck? I like it. I mean, it tastes good. I'm not going to sit here and I'm not going to pretend it tastes bad because I got it for $10.99, and it's in a plastic bottle. So I should say it's nasty. It's horrible. It's swill. Only bums drink it. Only hobos, vagrants, and so forth drink it. Well, no, it's all right. But that was the 254. Oh my goodness. Man, this is tough. I got it wrong twice and I got it right once. That's not a very good record. Okay. Okay. Well, that's the risk I'm taking. I'm taking Texas 254, which is not that different in flavor from all the other blended whiskeys I have, obviously, so far. So you say, but it's a craft whiskey, fool. It's a craft whiskey, fool. Well, I realize that, but it tastes like all the rest. So yeah, maybe I'm not. Maybe I am a fool because I did pay $20. Look like I'm the only person that ever bought it. All right, is Hennessy a whiskey? Says Jamie. No, it's a brandy, which is like grape. Well, it's like grape whiskey. Like when you think of whiskey, a liquor made out of grain. Well, brandy is a liquor made out of grapes, but they use basically the same process. So think about it along those lines. It's like whiskey made out of grapes. Now, the brandy people are going to say, wrong, wrong. Whiskey is brandy made out of grain. It's grain brandy. Because I think brandy's been around longer than whiskey. But yeah, it's like, this is grain, cereal. This is fruit, grapes. You take them, you make them. The grapes give you brandy. The grain gives you whiskey. And they both coming in around 80 proof at the baseline. So yeah, it's about the same old thing. All right, same old concept, not the same product, obviously. So Hennessy is a cognac brandy. Dodgers, that's all I hear now. Oh yeah, everybody's talking about the Dodgers, the Dodgers, the Dodgers. Let's see if they're talking about the Dodgers in August. They might be talking about the Braves. I bet they won't be talking about the Mets. Jay, what do you think of Fireball whiskey? It's a whiskey liqueur. It's made with whiskey, Canadian whiskey. Don't know which. Probably, obviously, one of Sazerac's numerous brands. Yeah, it's fine. It's just whiskey with cinnamon added in it. Cinnamon, common product. Whiskey, common product. Mix them together. Put a flaming dragon on it. There you go. Sazerac makes Fireball. I don't have a problem with it. Some people have a conniption fit like it's a sin or something, like, oh, how could you drink that? It's not right. Don't you know it's not real whiskey? A, they don't care. B, they enjoy it. And C, why are you worried if they're enjoying it? See, that's the real scary part. It's not scary that people like it. It's not scary that Fireball's popular. So what? The scary thing is they got people out there that's worried about other people drinking it. Why do you care if people drink Fireball? They have other cinnamon whiskeys. They got Jack Daniel's Tennessee Fire. They got Jim Beam, whatever they call it, Heat, something. I mean, it's all the same thing. I went to the Jack Daniel's distillery. They told us point blank. They said, you know how we make it? None of us knew. The guy said, all we do is take regular Jack Daniels and pour bags and bags of Red Hots in it. The little Red Hot cinnamon candies. He said, that's all we do. And we let it soak for however long they have to let it soak. And then we strain it out, filter it out, and then we sell it. And that's a popular product. Not like Fireball. Fireball, for whatever reason, is the top product. May not, probably no better or worse than all the rest. But, and Fireball was a nothing product until 1989. Fireball was a joke. Seagram's had started Fireball. It was called Dr. McGillicuddy's Fireball. They still make Dr. McGillicuddy's. You can find the mint, the creme de mint, and all of these menthol liquors and all this stuff. All right. Sazerac bought it probably for nothing, hardly. I mean, nothing like 20 million, but to them like nothing. So I think Sazerac was looking at that Buffalo Trace. Sazerac say they don't market it correctly. Nobody cares about Dr. McGillicuddy's like it's a medicine. So they redid it into Fireball with the dragon and the heat. Burns like hell. What they say, burns like hell, tastes like heaven, or whatever they do. Oh, now it's in the top 10 whiskeys. And I know it's not a real whiskey, but you know what I'm saying? It's made with whiskey. So whiskey, look here. And they got it in any kind of bottle size you ever could imagine. And they sponsor events like Fireball, racetrack event, something, I don't know, horse racing, soccer game or something. So it's wildly popular. Wasn't a fad, still around, big. So I guess they knew what they were doing, because they sure don't put television commercials for it. You never hear it on the radio. They just put little like posters in a liquor store or something. This week only, Fireball, this price, something like that. Fireball sponsoring the Independence Day swim tournament, something. You know what I'm saying. Woodworm. Oh, you mean wormwood. Wormwood is only an absinthe. I'll never touch absinthe. Y'all want to drink absinthe? There was a guy who used to do hangouts with us. And he would be talking about, I drank absinthe. I drank absinthe. I said, okay, you said that about 20 times already. But he was saying, people say it makes you crazy, but I don't believe it. It was funny, though, because the more he drank it, the crazier he started talking. After a while, he would just be talking crazy, out of his head crazy. And I was like, good thing it doesn't affect you. And then he just disappeared. Nobody knows what happened to him. I didn't know the guy, but he just went off into some la la land, And he was talking about how absinthe is not dangerous and you could drink it like any kind of liquor and it's fine. I'm like, yeah, really? Is that why the Cubans captured you and put spy networks in your television set and made you drink milk that was from cats? Right. And yet you thought Italy was in between Australia and New Zealand, but it wasn't affecting you. That's good. It's good to know. Good thing I never drank it. First of all, it's green. I don't want anything looking green that I want to drink, unless it's nothing. I don't want to drink anything green, even if it's Gatorade, because I don't even like Gatorade. All right. Anyway, so okay, I'll drink the green apple from Mike's Harder or Steel Reserve. But I know it has red. Red. I know it has blue and yellow food color and makes it green. Blue and yellow makes green. But anyway, yeah. So yeah, Dan, you're right. All right. So the winner. Hey, it keeps happening here. I think this is a pattern. It's going to be a pattern. Gran Legacy. Is it a product to look for? Obviously not. Is it a product to avoid? You don't have to avoid it because you're never going to see it. So, the question is moot. Like Jesse Jackson said on Saturday Night Live in 1984. The question is moot. So, because I'm not going to get the nomination. So you're asking me questions about politics. I'm not going to get the nomination. So the question is moot. But anyway, I still have good 40% of the bottle left. I won't mind drinking it. Pure whiskey. Purely not that great, but it's honestly not bad. And for the price, I mean, hey, what the heck? Texas $254. Yeah, well, la-di-da, I paid $19.99. I guess I paid too much, but oh well, no big deal. From a company that seems to have gone out of business, which is no shock, but it's fine. No problem. No problem. I'll just go through the series. I've got so many blended whiskeys coming up. It'll probably be a 50-50 thing, like I'll get it half right half the time, get it wrong half the time, end up 50 wins, 50 losses. Well, 10 to 10, I guess it'd be 20. 10 wins, 10 losses. No shock. I was expecting a little more, being that it was a so-called craft distillery, but And when I tasted it solo on its own, it tasted really good. But the proof's in the pudding, and the pudding is the taste challenges blind. And so far, not so good. Oh well, I have no horse in the race, so it ain't really a problem for me. All right. Right. Hemp ale is harder to find, and I am not looking for it. All right. Well, anyway, see you later, people. Bye. Bye bye.